We now have a quorum. It's a special city council meeting workshop is called to order. Public comments, I have none at this time. Number 3, discussion regarding the draft agreement with Neighborhood Solutions for use of the armory. I hope y'all all had a chance to read that. It looks like we're going to put the southeast corner where those 2 garage doors are, so that they'll have access there. Will they have a key to the gate?
We will give them a key to the gate and also a key to the entry of the building. Yes.
Around the front?
Yes.
Because I didn't know if they had truckloads of stuff. It'd sure be easier to get through without having to come try and find somebody to get in.
Yep.
So, and that's a good place to keep them dry in there too.
It's true. That's true.
And it's long enough for any kind of big stuff, lumber, whatever.
We have a lot of width going back, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
1,000 square feet.
About 1,000 square feet. The one thing I would say is in your packet at the workshop is actually the final agreement versus a draft agreement. We had a little bit of a file showing issue, and so we have a final agreement here. So we've made a couple changes, or the 2 documents are different. There's a difference between the draft and between the one we have here right now. They're really not very significant.
Time.
Yeah, one of them had to do with the timing of the building, the hours of the building.
Yeah.
We changed it from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That was one of them. There was 2 others, and I can't off the top of my head tell you what they were. They weren't that all significant.
This is like a boilerplate you took care of, but it's all done. And it's
Actually,
just to give them for storage and nothing else.
pretty much, yes.
And we also use the word
For $1.
neighborhood solutions. What we don't want is neighborhood solutions giving the key to a family and saying,
Yes.
go take whatever you want.
They must mean, yeah.
Someone needs to be
Maintain
there.
control.
You know, we have a lot of things there
Yeah.
in that building as well that are of value. So to keep their stuff safe, our stuff safe, allow them to have a key and make those arrangements.
That's a 1-year lease.
1 year, and depending, they may or may not do how many donations or whatever, because this is Home Depot working for them, or with them, am I correct?
That is correct. They've received a grant through Home Depot through the Framing Hope Product Donation Program.
Is that what it is? All right. So they're going to give all that stuff to them, they're going to use it where they need to use it, and go from there.
Yep, Neighborhood Solutions will be responsible for distributing to the citizens of Guthrie.
And that's where all these neighborhood associations are getting in and rebuilding these houses, like we're Cottonwood North Neighborhood Association, helping people that can't do it themselves. So,
Which we
We'll
have
be
saved
working
some
on one this weekend, this
Yeah.
coming weekend.
amazing what
another
they're
one this
doing.
week, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, you know,
This is like the one we got that's right down here too, isn't it? Right down here on 2nd Street.
I know Sue did a lot of work down
Right now.
on Second
Okay.
Street with that neighborhood, absolutely.
okay.
Something that the city couldn't do without her.
She took me through it a couple of times, it looks nice.
But with all this material they're getting, this is great.
This
So
will
if they go,
help, yeah.
and this is a perfect place to store it again, because it's got the depth, the width, and it's gonna be dry. So, anybody have any questions about that one? Any concerns about them using that armory? They will have access. Access will be Neighborhood Solutions only. And that's under agreement. Anything else on that?
Until Jim can land the roller derby
Yeah.
crew.
Actually, we
Tried.
could still have roller derby
It's
and have
It's
the
separate.
Neighborhood
Yeah, it used to be.
It's separate.
We used to go and watch.
Trying.
Separate part of the building.
Would you
I'm old
folks
enough to
like to
remember
have a
that.
packet and see what we're getting?
If you, yeah, get right up here. We'll give you your
I thought,
time.
I really don't need minutes. I appreciate your consideration. These are pictures, the first 3 of the material that's sitting there waiting for us. And the rest are before and after and projects that we're currently working on. I'm not sure how many. So if you have any questions, you can yell at me.
Nice.
That's just one.
Nothing hazardous or anything like that, nothing we need to be worried about as far as leaking out of a bucket or something. When I saw that, that's kills, that's for painting sheetrock or whatever the first coat.
That's in my garage right now.
Oh, well, okay. All right, well then it's all right. Yeah. You're here, then it's okay then, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody want to ask Sue anything? And we'll store that there in the armory, the city will, okay? All right, let's move to number 4. This, thanks, appreciate it. Discussion regarding the Excelsior building.
That's in my lap here as well. Probably, the last time I guess you folks asked the city to take it to the Parks Board with regard to the building, and we've had a lot of dynamics or moving parts since then. And probably the biggest dynamic was the fact that we discovered some structural cracking in the actual Excelsior building itself on the northwest side. Aaron gave us some pictures here.
There you go.
You can see this is on the northwest corner, the far northwest corner exterior. And there's substantial, it's a substantial crack. You have the facade of the brick on the outside, and I have one picture, if you will, on the inside, which we'll see here in a little bit. The next 2 pictures, I believe, will be of the south. Yeah, this is the southwest corner now, which has been in bad shape and has dropped over the years, and it's been patched. There's no real visual signs on the inside of the building on the south side, but here's on the north side on the inside, so it's actually penetrated right through the cylinder, cylinder walls, if you will, or cinder block walls. So there's for sure some concern about the structure of that building in terms of, and the biggest concern we have right now is safety of the building. I did talk to our insurance company, and the retort to me is the city, we've discovered this now, and so we're now on notice that we know we have a safety situation there, so that if anything were to happen,
Now that's the roof.
that would be a tort claim. So,
that's
yep,
the roof.
Aaron's moving ahead here. That's the roof after the first big rain we had, which was just before the Parks Board meeting, so it would have been like the Monday before. Kevin went up and basically cleaned the roof. You can see he's got a squeegee there on the right-hand side of that picture, and he squeegeed all that off. But since then, the good news is we got more rain. I guess if you're a farmer, or an Oklahoman for that matter, I mean, we love the rain, but since then we've gotten another, 1.5 inches approximately of rain, and so it's only added to it in terms of the ponding and the pooling. And I think that's a good picture there, that you can see that foam, it's a foam roof, and it's just literally, it's absorbed, it's been neglected to the point where it's absorbed the water, and you can even see a little bit of green in it, so.
So we've got mold and mildew.
That's what I'm gonna say,
possibly.
that's mold there.
Yeah,
That didn't look good.
there's a major problem on that roof.
Well,
So, it really comes down to what, we have a safety concern, and, what do we want to do? It's almost an immediate thing in terms of what we might want to do. I mean, what direction do we want to go? If we decided, either way, I have a concern about having occupants in the building, I'll be quite honest with you.
well, let me do a little cut to the chase here, if I may.
Sure.
But let's go back to the terminology. The building's cracking. It definitely needs a foundation resettled on it. This is Oklahoma. And it's again, demolition by neglect. It is falling apart. This is not a historical building in any way, form, or fashion. It is something that, it just costs a lot of money to keep this place going. And we can't sell it because it leaks so bad. The walls are falling in. My recommendation is we bring it to, and the Parks Board tabled it. They were so enamored by the speeches by everybody wanting it, but they don't understand the money involved with it. My recommendation is that we bring it back on the next council for action, and consider that we go ahead and demolish this building. It is not safe, and we can't go in there and get rid of the mold and mildew. We can't fix the walls. We go in there and raise the foundation, balance all that out again, plus the roof. And granted, all those estimates are old, but prices don't go down. So, I mean, that's my recommendation to the council. I mean, if you got something else to say, they need a place, but this one's kind of gone.
What's in there right now? What's being, what
There
is it
are
being used
the guys that do the pottery, there are guys that do the loom, so there's some kilns in there, gas-fired
for?
kilns.
So it's more kind of an art?
Yes.
Arts, you know.
Okay.
There's a lot of looms in there. Looms, pottery, jewelry, and,
Yeah.
They used to do some photographs in there too.
oh,
Photography.
yeah, for the
Well,
photography room.
Yeah, but the photography place leaks now, so they can't go in there and
Yeah,
use
they
the dark room.
use it. The dark room's
I would be
a mess.
concerned about having any of those people in there with our insurance
Yes.
liability.
Well, with as much mold is starting to grow in there, you know, that's not good for you either.
I was gonna say, do we have any place that we could house, someplace else we could house these people with their
Well-
activities? I mean, any place else we could help them get to, I mean, I don't know,
Well, you know, that's a good question.
but I'm
and
concerned about the liability of the building.
I don't know if it leads, it may lead into our next document that I,
Yeah.
was requested by Serena, our city manager, to put together at the request of the mayor, about our public buildings that we currently have, and this isn't certainly a list of all of them, but it's ones that we kind of lend out or people are using, and what revenues we may get or not get from those buildings. And so, you know, this is kind of what we might have available, but I think for the most part, they're either in use or probably wouldn't necessarily work out. You know, of course, the Girl Scout building is being used by the territorial square dancers, and they've fixed the,
Did they fix that leak in the floor that the bathtub was
They
or
repaired
whatever?
that, and they do have an occupant. They do have an
Oh, okay.
occupant in there too, so we will be getting the revenue from that lease.
And because they go in there and dance in the whole floor, then we can't really move anybody in there with any equipment to take over any space. Highland Hall, there's no space in there to move anything because they're using that one all the time.
Our Liberty Lake House is under reconstruction, you
Yeah.
might say right now, but not.
At this point, my recommendation would be to tell them, number one, before it becomes a safety hazard, get their equipment out. And then we will look and see if there's someplace else we can find for them. But this place is costing us, this last year was over $20,000. They can't even pay the utilities on it. The gas, the water, and you start firing up some kilns and run electricity, and that's costing the city quite a bit of money. That's taxpayer money. And I agree, they need it, it'd be nice to have a place, but it's sure in this building anymore.
The armory's not on here,
No, it is not.
right? Is that, but this is all, everything that the city owns as far as,
It's
not
every-
land, but it's
It was who was
houses.
using places, we just did
Oh,
who was
okay.
using them. But you're right, we could add the armory. No one was using it at that point we made this,
Right.
And this, underneath the total, that is what it's costing us per year,
at minimum.
at minimum.
Second to right column,
The right column, you've got it.
second to right.
Yeah, the total, that's
Yeah.
right.
That's for each one of those
For each
buildings.
one of them, right.
Half the other-
And that's not maintenance, that's just bills.
So that's quite a bit of money. So at this point, my recommendation to council is we bring it back, make it an action item, next one, and we give them 2 weeks to get their stuff out and store it somewhere, until we can demolish it. If we decide we wanted to sell it and we wanted to go that way, number one, who's gonna buy it you saw the pictures of it. Number two, we have to get it appraised. Number three, if it's over 25,000, we gotta take it to a vote and spend $10,000 on that. And then we gotta try and sell it. And in this case, the building's not safe.
Well, if you tear it down, it's gonna cost the city money, so what if you had it appraised and tried to sell it, and then it wouldn't cost the city money to get it torn down? And let somebody else deal with it?
That's definitely a route.
I'm just
Appraisal
trying
would
to
cost
think
about
about-
$2,000, you're right, without spending
Cost.
10 grand on a demolition.
Right.
But if it comes back and they say it's worth $100,000.
But you can auction
Well, we
it for
don't get an
$1.
appraiser that's gonna do that.
But you're right, the appraisal is just to determine that it's over $25,000. That's the only reason for the appraisal. Then the law
Right.
says, if it's over $25,000, you have to take it to a vote of people. An election will probably cost us around $5,000. $5,000
So we
for an
can tack
election.
onto one of these elections that are already here, right? I mean, we've got some coming up.
Well, we'd have to have them tonight.
We have to have
No, you could do a
75
special
days
meeting
before
by,
that?
you could do a special meeting
Before
by
June
June
11th.
11th. You could do it next week. If y'all really wanted to move on it, to get it to a vote of the people, you'd have to have a special election a special meeting next week to establish the ballot language that would go to the voters.
Is there any way to just kind of, I know it would be an unofficial, kind of get a guesstimate of what its value? Because it seems to me if it's right at 25,000, you know, if we're looking at trying to make money off the thing, then it might be, you know, a wash with elections and stuff like that, especially the shape it's in.
Sure.
If it's worth a whole lot more, that's different, but who's gonna buy it in that condition, you know? There's a lot of kind
Somebody
of
that wants the
questions.
property.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
property's worth that.
Yeah.
We've talked to people that may be interested.
okay.
So your recommendation?
Here's what it comes down to. I did add, here's your capital improvements. I just kind of want to always let y'all know, you know, people will say, well, just go spend, you know, $100,000 on it. You don't have $100,000 in your capital. This list is all of your capital improvement fund from fiscal year 14. This is what you approved in the budget for this year. The top section is what comes from sales tax. That's already been spent. All those items have been completed. This, I have restrictions on them. For example, hotel tax couldn't go to spend on the Excelsior building. The county, you know, Liberty, or ambulance, of course, is funded by the county. None of these other funding could be where you pull from. Like sludge removal comes from water sewer revenue. I can't charge people on their water bill to take care of the Excelsior building. Okay, so you're at that $149,000 is all that the city spent out of sales tax for capital investments this year. That's tiny. I mean, it's a very, very small amount in an $18 million budget, so $150,000. So what you basically would be doing, and this is what it comes down to, is that you could give up all of the funds that you were going to use for downtown improvements, for example. That's your only other pot of money right now, is your downtown improvements, and say go fix the Excelsior, which then would not do your downtown improvement project. So when I talk about money and a recommendation, if we had money wasn't an option, sure, fix it up.
Right.
You're going to have to cut something to fix the Excelsior building, and right now, I don't have anything to cut.
Well, the problem is when you fix it up, you're just gonna end up here in another couple of years because nobody's gonna fix it again. And it's,
Sure.
this is a
Yeah.
continuing thing that keeps happening with the city properties.
Absolutely.
And that's,
It's just
that
over,
we
yeah.
have got to get rid of these if we're not gonna take care of them.
Now, this is gonna cost
That's
more,
the thing, get rid of them.
if we did demo
Because we're
it,
not taking care of them.
if we did demo it, it's gonna cost more than the regular building. Do we have a sense of how much it might cost?
10 grand and up,
10 grand.
minimum 10 grand, because it's brick and
It's gonna be a tough tear down because
It's
of all
a-
that brick. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yes.
it's not an easy one. You think about your average 2,000 square foot home that's even a siding home is 2 grand,
Is there any asbestos in that building?
probably. If it was
If
built
it's
prior
in there,
to,
then it's gonna cost you a bunch more, but they'll have to go in there
Not
and encase that and haul it out.
It's probably even lead in there, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
I'm sure it is. It's like the old buildings, like the old school buildings up here, they're all full of lead.
So one way or another, it's gonna cost us money.
sure. But you're now looking at then what you're going to avoid paying all these things in the future. So there's your avoided cost for next year would be that 7 grand.
$6,000.
You know, and then maintenance, you talk about the time that Kevin spends over there. I mean, we didn't put in maintenance and labor and all those things.
Well, and if we demo it, we could put it in next year's budget. And,
If
know,
you
we don't have
went
to
that
do it today.
route,
We could do it, wait
You would
6 months.
just have to condemn it until then.
Condemn it.
And
we're at the point where, and the city can make that decision without council vote on condemning a property because it's an operations decision. If y'all give me the head nod, I'll be honest, it's a political hot potato, and y'all know that. So for us to go in there and tell everybody to get out, I was gonna come to y'all first.
but if it's condemned because it's unsafe, then they have to.
We would have to
Has
hire a
the
structural,
code inspector's been in there to say
Here's
it's
his-
condemnable?
his letter's in there, in her packet.
Yeah, our, Jim Hankey, yes, I had asked Renee to have him do an inspection of the building based on what we observed, those cracks. And his report is in the packet there. He's given numerically four items that he talks about. Basically, that slab and the footings are falling down. And that's only what we know.
It's enough to condemn it. Otherwise, your other route would be hire a structural engineer, which you're talking major money. To go in and hire a structural engineer to go check the footings.
Other than the people that are there for nothing, I mean, they're, okay, who would be really devastated if, is there somebody that you can, okay, who? You?
The entire black community.
Yeah,
Well, the
That's-
structure's not historical though.
The structure's
It's not
It was
historical,
the black-
but it is the
Right,
first
right,
black
right.
library.
It's important.
to them.
Built
Right.
by,
That's-
a very popular, infamous black woman.
Sure, but it was
Because
a
they were
two-story house
underserved.
that was really there. That's when they tore that down, they tore the
Right.
original structure down.
Exactly.
But that, when it was built in the 50s or whenever it was, they should make a nice little parklet or something out of
In the
that. and put a-
50s, the
put a
black
monument
community
up there, you
was
know,
not
hey, this is what
truly
was here.
able to go into our libraries.
Right.
That's why it was
Well,
built.
Sure,
You know, a parklet would be great because it's close to downtown.
yeah, I mean, you could do a lot of things with
They
it and
can
have
still
it,
honor the community.
and
Right,
yeah.
honor them by having a really nice memorial or a
Because that thing
statue
out
thing
front
out
would,
there.
could stay there, the one that
Yeah.
says Excelsior
Mhm.
deal.
And have something fun for the neighborhood kids to play on. I realize Mineral Wells is down the street, but still, you
Yeah.
can do something
Little pocket.
really
Could
nice
they
in
put
that,
their
yeah, a little pocket park. kind of
Equipment in the armory for now?
Up to you guys.
I mean, it's a temporary thing, because they gotta put it somewhere. I mean,
Once we give Neighborhood Solutions this access to the doors,
yeah.
It's a little tough. You're
it's a
starting
little tough because the rest of it all would have to go in the front. And that's a
Yeah.
training classroom, and that's the restrooms, everything's around the corner. And they couldn't use it. They could not use it there.
Yeah.
And then in the back, we've got so much city police stuff that they cannot use that big back area.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it'd be tough to put them in
They're
there.
gonna have to figure out what to do with all that stuff right now. That's the only concern I have. So I thought that would be at
Sure,
least a place to
sure.
put it for.
Sue, I did talk to Evelyn about that, and she didn't seem,
She's the one I wanted to
yeah,
do.
I talked to Evelyn about it already.
About what, making a parklet or something?
She
I
didn't
was wondering if
say
you
anything.
put out something to the community and see if maybe there is a black group here in town, or maybe Langston,
NAACP.
who would like to put that money into repairing the building.
She said they didn't have any money to do it, because I already asked her.
Yeah.
I asked her, hey, can you guys take it? Is there anything you can do with it? She said, we don't have any money.
for
And it being a city building, they can't work on it. If they purchase it, then they could do it. But being a city building, they can't work on it. So, and if we walk in there and we find lead and asbestos, they're out anyway. Right off the
Yeah,
bat,
'cause
the whole
I-
building comes down.
Yeah, they'll have
Well,
to,
even if the city were to give it to them, they wouldn't be able to.
They wouldn't be able to use it even at this
when
point.
they did that to the post office.
because I don't
closed
think they have
this-
the money.
Closed this down that time.
And they cannot pay their own utilities. No one wants to go in and support them. And so that makes a real problem.
Well, it does for the group that's in there, I
Right.
agree.
Right.
Water we
It-
can-
it's-
And then
I
it's
just
a
thought it-
it's a matter of, we will try and find something later on, but right now, there's gonna be a gap where we need to probably get them
I
out.
deal with
Absolutely.
electrical fire and that thing as well.
Is it possible that we can put it in for next year's budget, some money to demolish it? And maybe even a little money to maybe put a marker up or something like that? And then
Really.
There's
give
already a
them,
marker there.
and give them a little time to transition.
Should we table it to
move
see
that
if we
stuff.
want to sell it instead, or is it too late to even look into doing that?
It's not too late ever. If the council wants to
That way we
auction
can
the
know our
property.
options, that way if there is somebody who really wants it, we're not saying, at least we might be able to give somebody an opportunity.
Can we
if
auction
they
without
really
going
want
to
it.
a vote or anything else?
You
No?
have to go to a vote of the
See,
people.
we still gotta go to a vote of the
But-
people.
If it appraises for more than 25,
Which
it might.
we think it
Probably
will,
will.
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
probably will.
just for the land and.
But to put it on a ballot, we're voting in
August 26th, if y'all pass the sales tax
Well, the
election.
city wouldn't have to pay for that to be on the,
You're right,
I mean. but
saves
then-
you $5,000.
Yeah, you should
That has to be
you
done
don't
by
have to
June
pay for a
11th,
ballot, the
though,
question will be on the
I'm gonna
ballot.
say June 10th, we have to
June
get
10th.
paperwork in by June 11th.
So if we schedule, so if you want, if I'm
I'm
understanding.
just throwing stuff out there, because if people are really upset and they want to keep it, then here's our opportunity, go get it.
Exactly. They
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Instead of the
Right.
city saying, let's,
Put it to a vote of the people.
right.
I think that would
I agree.
offset any feelings that they might have an opportunity to
Right.
vote yea or nay.
Sure.
So if we want to take it to the people, we've got to have a special meeting on the 9th or 10th, whatever,
I'm gonna ask for the 9th on a Monday,
on a Monday.
just because,
And that'll be an action item, and then we can decide, and if it goes to the ballot, it's gonna be who wants to pay for it.
So we'll actually have a special meeting that night, right?
if you could, we
On
can
the
I
post.
won't be there.
Of June.
I'm not gonna be here. We're in Stillwater.
Okay, if we did it,
We're getting Haley checked in.
So I'm not-
if you did it the 10th,
I'm getting what?
Haley's getting ready to go
Yeah.
to college and they're having.
what about the 10th?
Same day, I'm gone both days, 9th and the 10th.
Bummer.
What time though? What time are you gonna do that?
Whatever you want, 10 o'clock at night, doesn't matter. It
10 o'clock?
it really doesn't matter.
Why
Y'all
don't we
can
do
hold
it, can you guys do it at like 6? I'll be back by then,
on the,
on the 10th.
I'm not sure if I'll be back quite.
I can skip there.
That's the airport board,
Well,
Can we do on 11th?
We-
11th
but
is the
I
latest.
might have to go out there, just, you know, I mean, do it here and then scoot out there for a
The
little bit.
11th is the
When
latest,
you
we do
meet
11th.
we've got a
It's not gonna
file
take
by
very
the
long
11th.
It's gotta deal with the
Yeah,
election board.
by 5,
Something
so.
gonna take 10
Oh,
minutes
that's gonna be
here.
one of our famous short
It'd be,
meetings.
oh,
It will be
yeah,
a
we won't
10-minute
do,
meeting, won't it?
yeah,
Okay,
Or less.
So I started, if you don't, we could just meet out there then,
meet out where?
at the airport.
No.
City council, we gotta,
I would prefer it be here.
It's not gonna take long here.
Just,
I'll be there. I mean, I can be there.
On
On the
the-
10th, and I might be able to make it, I'm not sure.
10th at 6 o'clock.
okay,
That'll work?
yeah.
And then
gosh, I have
if
to miss an
the-
airport meeting. It's
Oh.
terrible.
And then we'll look at the wording, and it'll be up to the people. If they want it, they gotta come up with the money.
We can Skype you.
And that means not just to redo it, that's gonna be an easy $100,000 minimum, just from my rough guess. And then they might as well plan on start paying their own utilities after that too. So they're gonna have to find some support. I don't see why the city should pay that much in utility bills every year and every month. So on the 10th, 6 o'clock back here for action item, special meeting.
Do you want us to wait to condemn the building?
At this point, I would say get them out, because we know it's a safety issue. We know the roof's leaking, we know the walls are cracked and looking. Anybody disagree with me? They can't use it.
And if there is lead and asbestos in it, they're gonna make them get out anyway.
Renee, it's your
Like you did.
department on building inspections. Is it enough to condemn it?
I think that it is. My concern at this point, that one wall looks exceedingly precarious. We're on notice, that we could jeopardize the occupants' safety should the wall fall in.
Did any of these cracks happen recently? Could they be
Yes.
related to earthquakes?
Within 3 weeks. So we looked at our earthquake policy. Go ahead.
Earthquake homes?
You know, I will tell you, I did mention it to the people that carry our insurance, to
We're
OMAG. and
starting to get rain now. It's
I
just
suggested it to them, and their response was, well, if you want to file a claim, we certainly could, and then, I don't know what, they may reject that claim, or they may take it, I can't
Is there
answer
an
that.
insurance person in the room?
I think it's too
I
late
checked
now.
on it the other day, and most insurances that allow earthquake,
Quick.
$10,000 deductible.
Oh, yeah. And then ours
So-
is, you
Our
told,
policy has $1 million coverage, so if we had a major earthquake that hit and shook every building in the city of all of ours,
Right,
the maximum amount would be $1 million for earthquake. So, that building is insured for $214,000. The standard deductible is $5,000. I haven't,
Do Do you need an earthquake rider for that though?
No, it's on our policy.
It is.
Yeah,
Oh, you
it's
do have
written in our
earthquake?
policy.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
It's on our policy. I just,
Why follow
I
the
wouldn't file
I
it.
think the likelihood
I
of,
don't think it's worth that.
you
It's
know,
not gonna be worth it.
it might be, I'm not,
I don't even think running there-
well, I do handle the insurance, but I mean, in terms of claims, it'd be tough. Because that southwest corner has the same damage that had happened over the years that we've, done some point mortaring and that type of thing. Now it's, the north, did an earthquake cause that one? Probably not.
Who knows
But
what
the other one, I know we've had more frequent earthquakes, since probably that
who
last
knows
one.
what the footing looks like, I mean.
And there's some misinformation going around about that facility, and I did want to kind of clear that. There was an insurance claim on two roofs at the same time. One was the library, this was in 2010. I'm sorry, in 2008. The city received money at the tune of $19,000 to replace both roofs. The city chose at that time to replace the library roof, which cost around $60,000, so that 19 didn't cover the library roof, but there was a claim on the Excelsior building. We received less than 5 on it, less than 7. It was in single digits, $5,000 to $7,000, which would not have replaced that roof. They opted to use that money to put it in the library. Just let clear that.
So they would penalize you for that.
There's been people in the community that think that the city took the money from the claim, which, yes, that's half the answer. Yes, they took the money from the claim so that they could fix the library because it's a publicly used facility,
Which also had damage.
which also had damage.
The only thing I request is that if we're going to at least condemn it and say you can't use it, is to at least work with them to see if we can find a place to move that equipment and stuff.
What's going on with that blue house out on Prairie Grove?
Still full of books for the library, Friends of the Library.
That's a library use.
Because you're spending quite a bit of money on it too.
We were
That's
just
another one.
up there, that roof has issues as well.
Yeah,
What, it has, do
Issues.
what?
It
That
leaks
roof-
to
That roof has issues as well. Kevin gets up there and patches it,
So why don't we get rid of it too?
every year. Well,
Good.
the other, well,
Don't spend
that's a good-
$3,000 a year on it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Why are you keeping it?
the thing to consider in that property is in the back, behind the actual house structure is another structure.
Right, there's a barn, tin barn back there.
Yeah, a metal
Right.
facility, and we've got a good amount of city items stored in there.
Armory.
Well,
You
But
could
the
turn
barn's
it over into
different from the-
storage.
well, it is, so it's a different structure altogether, but it's on the same property. I just wanted to let
It's
you
where you had
know.
the animal shelter out there.
Yep, we relocated the animal shelter out there back when we had the tornado that took out the animal shelter, right? But then since, after they moved out, then, in fact, we're storing all the wreaths, all the
That's an
Christmas.
expensive storage facility. I'd recommend calling somebody else and pay $100 a month versus paying $3,000.
Yeah. They can do cheaper in
You know what I
storage
mean?
units.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just, we need to save some money here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need, that's money that's, to put a bunch of books in, nobody even gets to go out there.
That's too expensive.
Yeah.
So we're just storing books out
Get
there?
a storage unit.
That's all?
Well, there's,
$100 a month.
there's other stuff.
There's city stuff in the barn, so they use a
Well,
little
you've got the
electricity.
armory now, you could probably put it on, I mean, I don't know if you can or not, but.
If you want to turn the armory into a storage facility, that's
You
definitely a
might have to do
conversation.
it.
You might be right.
you-
No one else really seems to want the armory.
Yeah, I
And
mean, why not, if you can use
It's
it.
waterproof and airtight.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much.
It's decent.
Yeah.
Sounds
All
like
the
it's,
police
it
can
sounds
still
like
use
there's
it.
a need, that the city has a need for that.
Should we put the blue building on the
Yeah.
chopping block for Monday as well?
Yes.
Weapons on the books and see how.
I mean,
I
I just,
think so.
At least look at it.
What are you gonna do with it?
Property.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Shut in.
What do you
I don't,
think?
I guess
I'd
I
like
don't.
John,
to-
Jeff, what do you guys
I'd like
think?
to see what
I think
else,
it's a good idea. Stick it
specifically
in.
what's in these buildings and a little more detail.
Until we get the rotary.
And what we can really do with
The other
them.
thing is, I think.
And then sell that property.
Sits in safety zone.
That's the only thing.
only property list
That's the other thing, is it,
It's FAA money.
We can tear it down.
Mary, I was wondering, that blue house was bought with FAA money, that's airport money.
That's what I was
It
wondering.
might get a little tricky So I'm not confident at the moment.
Is that the buyout?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
So
so
then nobody
That's
can,
what we'll-
actually,
It can
nobody
be
can
torn
live
down,
there.
but you can't own property for anything.
I
other
think
than
we
the city.
can't auction that one.
I think
I
you're
think
right
you're
about
right.
that. So that,
All right.
that belongs to, give it to the
We're
airport,
moving
let's
on.
get and turn it into a hangar.
Excelsior Building, Excelsior Building next Monday, Tuesday night?
Tuesday.
The 10th, 6 o'clock.
If we get an appraisal done, I've already put in a word for it.
Go ahead from there,
Wonder
okay.
about that.
Number 5, discussion regarding downtown improvements.
It is currently 6:40.
Want to save that?
Yeah, let's save that for
Okay.
another one, if you want to move to non-intoxicating beverages, because that was y'all's request for an item.
Right. Number
Unless, and we can get back to it in a second, but it's not as critical as the.
Number
order.
6, discussion regarding non-intoxicating beverages for special events.
Okay. You have some information in your packet. The first thing to start with would be the discussion points page. It looks like this.
Go ahead,
Okay.
we're hurting on time.
Wait.
We're hurting on time, okay. There are two different ways to understand this, intoxicating beverages and non-intoxicating beverages. Intoxicating beverages are what you would think that they are, alcohol, spirits, and beer that is above 3.2. Non-intoxicating beverages are what they call low point beer, anything 3.2 and below. In going through all of this, one of the things also to recognize is that the ABLE Commission, the State Alcohol Beverage Unit, only, thank you, only governs the intoxicating beverages, okay? So I wanted to make sure, as part of the workshop and discussion point, to make sure that what we're talking about in doing a situation where people could drink in public is that we're just talking about the non-intoxicating beverage issue, okay? And I'm asking that as a question, is that what we all
Yes.
understand?
That's what
Yes.
I understood.
Okay,
Yeah, anybody that wants to go with intoxicating stuff, they have to get the permit from the ABLE Commission, and
That's
that's something
correct.
different.
it's,
It's a whole different control item.
that's absolutely correct. And I think myself, quite honestly, and I was a little confused on that, and I thought if I was, other people maybe as well. I had two different options that takes it directly to just one of them in terms of handling the non-intoxicating beverages. We can address that, I think, within the city on our own, and obviously not having to deal with ABLE. Within the ordinance that we have under alcohol on Article 2-47, it allows for alcohol within a given area on the outside of a premise, say whether it be a tavern or a bar or something like that. People can serve it on the outside. There's a lot of discussion in our ordinance, and when you kind of peel away all the onion layers to find out what they're really saying, it does get down to there's got to be a fence around the area where people are drinking, or if it's too difficult to do that, the city manager can take a look at what determines a fence around an area to seal the view.
Okay, here's what I thought that y'all wanted, I'm sorry, is, let's take a block party, for instance. You've barricaded it, there's not vehicular traffic. It was my understanding that to make that area be able to carry beer, 3.2. Okay, if that's the case, then we need to write an ordinance that's probably not fencing. I'm not a big fan, to be honest, of fencing the downtown. I think it's hideous and it makes us
Yes.
look like animals. But if we don't have vehicular traffic and that is controlled,
That's
we
right.
also want to require that whoever is in charge of that party or whatever it is, that there's also the other cities that we've looked at have a requirement for security because you've got underage, if it's open to the public, you've obviously got underage type drinking. So some sort of security that's there, that would be a commissioned officer. It doesn't have to be one of ours, can be whoever that's commissioned to do so. We also would look at something with notifying which drink, like a X or an armband or some sort of designation, if there is public, if you're out drinking, that you can tell a 20-year-old is marked with some sort of thing that says. So in the ordinance, what I believe Renee is asking is that, one, it's under 3.2 and it's just in a blocked off area. If that's the case, I think we have our marching orders and can get you an ordinance.
We can do that.
I think that's basically what it says, maybe closed street or other public area completely blocked vehicular traffic.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Barricade, really. I mean,
Right,
that's what they
yeah.
do in Oklahoma City, they put up barricades
Currently,
for the arts festival and.
And go for
And
it.
Renee was getting at, the current ordinance talks about a fencing, and I'm just
Right.
saying,
Change
no,
the
just a,
language.
Yeah,
Just change the language.
Yes.
Our language calls
Yeah.
for 6-foot opaque.
Okay.
And
We're saying
Serena's
they're
right,
okay,
that
yes.
just looks
Yeah.
really
It
bad.
does
Yeah.
look-
When it's a whole block
terrible.
security, so they can't accidentally take that outside that area, one on each end of the block or
We need
whatever.
to make it friendly, because
Yeah.
when we had this block party, I had people come up to me going, man, we need to make it where we can drink beer out here, and
Yeah.
nobody got
We need to
rowdy,
do
everybody
that.
was having a
It
good
was-
time. and-
Okay,
It was
well, it would
very-
have to be the 3.2 or below
Right.
and no,
got it.
Right.
no alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
But we could just amend that. Thank you.
Okay.
Fireworks.
I like it.
Number 7, discussion regarding fireworks. It's almost 2/3 for, 1/3 against,
60/40.
60/40, 40/60, and it depends on what it is. There's very few comments on it. And so we had some complaints, so we put it out there, we looked at it. As the mayor, I'm gonna make this recommendation to you unless you decide otherwise. When we bring it up for a vote in the council, if there is no motion and no second, it dies and it just goes back to the way it is. Am I correct?
Sure.
Or you can say, let's just do away with it, forget it, whatever, but we still gotta do that on there. But in council, if there is no motion and no second, I'll make the call and it goes away and we still have the ordinance that's there now, sit behind the permits and go from there.
Yeah, I got a comment thought. Is there any way to make a compromise here? Not ban it, but restrict where it is. Like, for example, it was mentioned Cottonwood Flats, kind of have a place like that. I like the idea right now, partly because you don't ban it, but you move it over there. If you want, you can go see fireworks, because a lot of people are doing fireworks in the area, if that would be the case. The police could cut it off when it's time, it's midnight. Okay, stop.
Who's gonna clean it up?
Well,
I'll tell you, City Mustang does that, so I called them to ask that exact same question.
Yeah.
What they do is that if you're a nonprofit, a fraternal, a church, they have a list of who can sell it there. So only people that, like the school, could sell there. And they do, the people that sell it are required to clean it up. Because I don't want to make this another city goes and
Yeah.
picks up
That's what'll
everything.
happen.
It probably gives us a little bit of hesitation on the public safety side, and Chief Harlow is here, and it's just, would it be 1,000 people that show up, would it be, how, we don't know what that would look like. I'm not saying it's impossible, City of Mustang does it. City of Mustang is the only other city besides us that allows it in the city limits, but they have a control on it with some more parameters.
The only problem, if the merchants are the ones that are putting these little block parties on, they're not gonna go to the flats.
Their merchants, I don't think would do.
We're talking fireworks.
On
So
fireworks.
Hello, sorry.
I think probably one of the problems is that the neighborhoods are the ones that are upset about the
Yes.
fireworks. But the people who live out in the country, which they're not really country, they're still in city limits, but if they have land, why can't they shoot off fireworks on their property?
They do
Because
anyway.
they've
I mean, it
got,
doesn't make- I know. Now, if you
that's the problem.
I know
Right.
our burn ban's lifted tomorrow, correct?
Right.
So if the burn ban gets lifted, then, but if we've got a burn ban effective, then
Nobody
it's-
can.
Nobody can do it.
Right.
but if
But how do you fix an ordinance where you can,
You could
rural
draw a
people-
line, you could,
Yeah, because
how do you do
I mean,
that?
one of the things I don't like, to tell
Because
you
you're
the
gonna have to
truth,
tell
is
everybody what you're doing.
is for about a week, man, I can't sleep because people just think, hey, I can blow it anywhere, anytime I want, no matter what. Now,
But
that's
the
a
permits
police
are for 3
thing.
days only, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th.
I get that, but I tell you, when it
They do
was,
it more.
when people
They do it all
were
night long.
allowed to, it went up 10
Interesting.
times in my neighborhood. And it just, you can't sleep, and I was just irritable that whole week because I was like, by gosh, this sucks.
So don't do it in
that's my problem.
downtown, don't do it in any of the neighborhoods, make them have a.
And it's hard to
acre or
police if
something,
it's
I
at 1 or 2 o'clock sometimes, you know, and
I don't know. You have any idea?
You can do it by parcel size, that's a better, that's, if
okay.
you
I
have
don't know.
X acres or more, 20 acres, whatever that number is,
I like
or
that.
more.
Inside the city limits?
Yeah,
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 you have it.
Because then that, and that's, the phone calls we get are neighbors,
Yeah.
neighborhoods. That's who y'all get. Oh, go ahead, Eric, I'm sorry.
No, and that is my concern. It's not like out where you live.
It's no big deal, yeah.
It's the in-town where we've got houses this close
Are
together.
they touched?
And they're built in, 1905,
Yeah.
1910.
And they just shoot that whole rocket off and it goes up and the next, it may
That's
sit
it.
there for 2 or 3 hours and smolder in.
And I know, I've had the question asked, like, well, have our fires went up since we legalized them? Not really. But this isn't a reactive thing. We're trying to be proactive and prevent something like that
Make sure
from
something never
happening.
happens like that.
But, I mean, we are green enough that we shouldn't have, knock on wood, it stays green, but.
We got about 1 more minute up here to spend on that, so
You can take the discussion downstairs.
we can take that discussion downstairs, so that brings it up to where, when it comes up to a vote, if you want to make the motion to amend what's on here, you better have that ready, and if you want to go for a parcel size, people with a certain amount of property, they can do it. You want to go for Cottonwood Flats, put it in there and see. Otherwise, we won't be able to do anything for this July.
can we, I mean, I don't necessarily want to table it, but I wish we could figure out what we really
Yeah,
wanted to
we
do.
need a specific there to,
Today's the 3rd, and it's going to emergency clause, and if we don't get it, we can't stop it
Okay.
by the
So I
4th.
think we should just do it for, as a parcel, instead of letting it go down to Cottonwood Flats.
what's the number though, acreage number?
I don't know.
At 20 acres, then there won't be very many that can do
I mean,
it.
even 10
What about
acres.
five?
I mean, even 10 acres,
Yeah.
even 10, but you know,
And that
you don't
way
have
it's
10
Inside the
acres.
city,
right?
there's
Yeah.
too many 10-acre parcels.
Okay.
inside the
Whatever,
city.
you said 5?
Five?
5, what about 5?
He said
5 gives them the yard.
5? Let's do 5.
Mark says two.
This up in here.
I like the idea of
Push it out
5.
to the south.
That puts us out on
Five.
which
Five.
is where we don't have issues.
So it will be,
right.
when it comes up, the motion will be that it will be allowed in any parcel of 5 acres or more within the city limits.
Yes.
So the regular houses can't do that.
And the restrictions stay the same with the permit and.
They'll have to go find their neighbors.
They'll have to-
saying what people will say, I'm sorry, Serena.
Thank you, Mark.
They'll they'll have to find that
Okay.
out.
Better than nothing.
Number,
And city makes money too.
Can I also ask, is the 5 acre, like Cottonwood Flats is more than 5 acres?
That's public property.
So we're saying not on public property,
Right.
On
on,
private
Okay.
property.
Private.
let's go with private property.
Because you can see people bringing their stuff down.
And that way we can still do the emergency deal on it and we can control it for this July.
and we'll try to get that message out in the middle.
Number 8, discussion regarding agenda items. There's one on there, please, one on there. On the Parks Board, Mary Beth Craven, I'm gonna recommend her be on the board, so that'll be coming up. Any future items for discussion? We are adjourned.